I remember people telling me stories about growing up here in the, in the 70s and the 80s when Main Street, was still had it kind of its heyday, Cool.
We are in the Rubble because we're coming out of the Rubble.
Yeah.
And what a great day it is. I'm with Travis Flood, volunteer city commissioner Travis Flood, but also you do a lot of things around town, but your volunteer position is city commission. Isn't that kind of a trip?
Well, it's one of my volunteer positions, and so we actually get to do a lot of stuff through being a commissioner, but also through just living in Shawnee and loving the city and loving the people that I get to be part of,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a pretty cool time to be here in the in the city.
So Travis, you just brought something up that I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you, and the default cannot be I just love the people. I want to know what you love the most about our community.
Oh my gosh! Well, that really is it. It's the it's the relationships that I have here. I moved here originally to go back to school at OBU, and while I was there, I met fantastic folks that very like-minded and very much same heart and same desire to see their world grow and get better, and raising young families, and then along the way, just those relationships became fast friends, and then also too, it's really exciting to be on the, I remember people telling me stories about growing up here in the, in the 70s and the 80s when Main Street, was still had it kind of its heyday, and all of the things that used to be, and then as we have a street sweeper come by here in just a second, all the things that were still here, still thriving, and how that, whenever I was a little kid, we used to go down here to this, or it was the neatest thing ever to go this place and get a suit or get shoes, or all the things, and then to see the kind of the regrowth and things kind of coming back, and new interest in this part of the world.
Yeah,
and
cherry sodas.
Yeah, exactly.
With a little bit of ice cream.
Yeah,
in it.
right. Yeah, one of the fun.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, one of the crazy things, the guy that I was working on a building, and this was, goodness, gazillion years ago, was doing some just kind of helping out a guy that was trying to work on a building that had nothing in it. It was just a shell. And a guy walked off the street, and he goes, "Oh my goodness." And it was the old Woolsworth building. And he said, right here was a counter that had candies. And he said one of the greatest things ever was like hot peanuts, and he said that it was like a special day whenever my grandpa would bring me in here, and I could get like fresh roasted hot peanuts. And he was just like, and he was like having this major nostalgic moment. And and that's what we want. We want our kiddos and our grandkids to show up one day and go, "Oh my goodness, this was the place," or this still is the place, or whatever it is, and you got a mosquito on your face. So yeah, it's terrible. So sorry.
As the sweeper comes by, that was just the question.
Yeah,
to start things
right.
off, because now we need to do a little bit of cleanup. Because like last time we talked, Travis.
Yeah.
Remember, this is out of the Rubble. This is how we have those like-minded visions and things on the inside of us that are just trying to help us make our community better. And last week I mentioned, like my grandma down the road. Well, I don't have a grandma right down the road, but somebody has a grandma right down the road. And, I mentioned Joey or Johnny eating beans out of it. Now, I know a few people who have been working that hard, but that's not Joey or Johnny. And that's because Travis and I are sitting here talking as an example of how you can talk to Cammie or to Daniel or to Lauren or to the mayor, or that would be Ed. I mean, we're just people trying to understand one another and move better into the future for our kids, our grandkids, and for the future of our community. And that's why we have a setting like this, is because it all starts in a place like this, like the old Woolworth building, in the sense of memories, and it stems from who we are. And Travis, I want to let you know that that's what this is about. In the sense of when I ask questions, I understand you might be a few points off. You might be one way or the other a little bit, but this is not a gotcha by any means. This is a conversation on how we get better.
Right.
And tag teaming on what we talked about a few weeks ago before your last meeting. We talked about some sales tax stuff.
Right.
And 1.495 cents out of every dollar is added as sales tax, and it goes to the county.
Right.
And we had kind of stopped off, and I said, hey man, find out, what is that sales tax being used for?
Right.
Were you able to figure that out?
No, and it's amazing because we actually had that conversation and really used for a lot of good things, but going all the way back, and this is something we talked about at our last commission meeting. I had a report from Jacob Foose, our assistant city manager, and he's going to follow up on that even more with some more detail on some of those things, I believe, this next week. But 4.5% of our tax rate goes to the state, and then they use that for all the fantastic things that they use. But our county uses 1.495%, and then we get the remaining 3.5 of our current tax,
and that makes up the 9.495.
Right? Yeah. The roughly. And then, but the 1% fee or tax rate is used for roads and bridges, 60% of that. Public safety centers, 20%. County fire departments, 7%. Sheriff's emergency services, 1.62. Emergency management services, 1.06. The OSU Extension Center. So it's all that's broken down.
So let's just start at the top there, Trav.
Yeah.
Okay, and what we're talking about is sales tax.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma is one of only 3 states in the nation in which municipalities like Shawnee, Oklahoma, is basically delegated sales tax as the revenue in which to operate your city.
Yeah.
And so overall, we're all paying about, let's just use a rough number of 9.5% sales tax in our community. 4.5% of that, so almost half of that, goes directly to the state. The city sees nothing of that.
Right.
3%, 3.5 or 3 for us, for the city?
3.5.
3.5% of that goes to the municipality to do what the municipality is supposed to be able to do with sales tax.
Right.
On top of that, our county has, by vote of the people, been allotted another 1.5 cents on every dollar. And so that 1.5 cents on every dollar is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What we just heard was that 60% of that 1.5%.
Well, I said that I misspoke. So it's broken into 1% and then the actual additional 0.45. 4.95%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right. And
which went to schools
it
in
goes
the county.
to schools, yes, and then to the
very small percentage.
One safe place family justice center. So
two things.
Yeah,
So we could say nearly half a cent goes to now fund area schools from the sales tax.
Right. Yes.
Nearly, and now we're going to go down to the 1 cent.
Yeah.
So another half cent goes to pave roads outside of the city. Basically, it goes to pave roads in the county.
In the county.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then so that leaves us another half cent, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Basically.
And where does that go? What's the second thing?
So it mostly goes towards basic public safety, sheriff's department.
Okay, but
fire
those I heard those were all less than 5% of that, right?
Yeah, those
are like 1.2, 1.1.
But there's a lot of them, and so it's the emergency management services, OSU Extension Office, economic development, senior citizens, soil conservation, the free fair.
What's the biggest thing besides streets in that 1 cent sales tax?
The public safety center.
And what's the percentage?
It's 20% of that 1%, which is So
20% of the 1.
Yes,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
0.2.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically it goes to roads, Then it goes to the safety center, which is like emergency management for the county. And then it starts really trickling off to a lot of different other things.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and that's voted on by the people.
Yes.
About what is the sales tax collected by the city annually with our 3.5%, Travis?
So, and this is again.
While he's looking, so I'm transitioning now from the 1.5% that goes to the county, and I'm going to try to figure out, okay, how much money does the city actually have to spend on general fund items, which is like roads within the city limits.
Yeah.
It's like, everything that the city has to perform. It's police officers, it's rangers at the lake, it's firemen, it's emergency management in the city. It is, there's just a ton of things that has to get paid for.
1 million people in the United States are affected by Parkinson's. Parkinson's disease affects the brain, causing the loss of dopamine, which affects your ability to move, affects your ability to think. So here are 4 cardinal signs of Parkinson's disease. 1 is a resting tremor. 2 is slowness of movement. 3 is postural instability. And 4 is rigidity or stiffness.
I like to come to action because they make you feel like a winner no matter what you can do. The people that we do it with become family, and we love to come each week and take part. Ask for action.
Clinic Pharmacy across from the hospital has something for you. Boutique items in Shawnee. All your pharmaceutical needs taken care of at the Clinic Pharmacy. Jeff Casterkey and Casterkey Auto Mart knows cars and knows how to treat you right. I trust Jeff Casterkey and his mom Betty at Casterkey Auto Mart. Go by and let Jeff Casterkey help you for any auto body need you have. Sonic Drive-In originated in Shawnee, serving great food fast to your family. Drive up, order, and eat in your car. Now, more than 3,500 stores worldwide, it's Sonic Good at our local Sonics. Clinic Pharmacy across from the hospital has something for you. Boutique items in Shawnee. You'll find something you like inside the Clinic Pharmacy.
So I just based off of our 2021 budget, and this is estimated what we're supposed to bring in, and then
Sure.
I believe I'm reading this right, that the expected budget off of our tax collection is right at $30 million.
Oh, okay. So that makes that number pretty easy in the sense of if at 3.5% we're collecting $30 million, if Shawnee had another 1.5% on top of that, they would have about another $14 million to spend every year. 12.
Yeah,
I'm on the high side at 14.
Right. Yeah.
But let's just say between 10 and 14. $10 million more to spend.
Right. Well, okay, let's do that again.
Okay.
So
if we collect 3.5%.
Yes.
And at 3.5%, we collect $30 million in the year.
Right. Okay.
If the sales tax of 1.5%, which right now is going to the county and is doing a lot of great things, but the fact of the matter is the city is not collecting that sales tax.
Right.
The city would have an extra $12 million to spend every year on roads, on rangers at the lake, police officers on the beat, bicycle police downtown, a lot of the things that right now people are clamoring that we have, and we just don't understand we don't have the money.
Right.
And our sales tax revenues in which we operate as a community, Travis, how does that compare, say, to the state in other municipalities when we talk about 3.5% of sales tax is actually the general fund for our city?
We're actually one of the lowest ones, which is pretty wild because we're talking about that too, as far as the comparison of other cities around the closest to us. Like some of the greatest, or some of the numbers are pretty crazy. Like Tulsa Tulsa's above 3.5%. Norman's above 3.5%. Edmond, Lawton. I mean, those are all bigger cities, but then comparable cities like in Midwest City, it's over 4.5. They have another, 1%
Another
percent. Yeah. And, Enid is above 4%. Owasso is about the same. Bartlesville is one of the only ones around that is lower than us, but again, it's, a different size city, different things. Muskogee has a larger percentage than we do. And so it's really, it's pretty, and I made this comment at the commission meeting, it's pretty amazing that we're able to do the things that we can with a significant amount less, in other cities our size, there's another 100 or so city employees sharing the work of all of the city. There's a significant number more police and fire, persons working towards keeping our cities safer and working, on all the things.
And that's because there's more money in which to operate on. And remember, this conversation all stemmed from just an idea that popped into my head that I brought and said, hey, why can't we pay for infrastructure of our water rather than raising $20 in my grandma's house right down the road here and the same $20 for Shawnee Mill? Or for the bigger industries that use a lot more water, which we'll talk about why that is. We have the answer to that. Yeah. But I brought up, why don't we have ad valorem tax? And when we talk about ad valorem tax in the state of Oklahoma, traditionally, that's how counties pay for their government operations, would be through ad valorem or land tax, basically.
Right.
And so that's how the conversation started, and Travis, our commissioner, made the comment because that's touchy territory.
Yeah.
He kind of went pale and said, well, that's a tough conversation that we have to have. And I thought, well, why don't we have the tough conversation in love with everybody, so we all kind of know what's on the table and how it's working. Something else, and Jacob Foos, I recommend that you look at his presentation. It was I think it was the last meeting, so the first meeting of September, and it's the last 15 minutes or so during administrative comments that he goes up there and he talks about sales tax and about funding and about different things, and it was very educational. It's a 3.5 hour video, but this is just the last 15, 20 minutes in that area when he was talking about that. But Travis, when we talk about that aspect in tough conversations, it's never easy to be able to, number one, talk about taxes, but also how important is it that we as citizens of Shawnee understand that we actually generate 75% of the sales tax that actually is spent in and around our area. The citizens of Shawnee, the people who are visiting and the citizens of Shawnee. So let's just say the citizens of Shawnee, inside, we are generating, is the number 75% of all the sales tax?
I'm going to take your word for that because I don't remember that number right off my...
It's something like that.
Something like that, yes. It's close to that. There's a significant amount of traffic that we have from surrounding cities and people coming to, and that's numbers steadily going up over the last several years, which is really amazing. And we first kind of thoughts about that, we thought that it might have been because of the pandemic and people not wanting to travel as far or being afraid from going to different parts of the city, but it's stayed hooked for the last year or so, and we really think that it's because a lot of amazing things, more intentional, fun things that are being promoted out at the expo and in the city. Our tourist department is doing an amazing job right now. The continued growth at the mall. It's wild watching, we get really just disheartened when something leaves, but so far every time an organization or a company decides to leave, not too long after another one comes back in and starts rebuilding and reinvesting, and there's tons of people from all around that are coming to Shawnee, and Shawnee's kind of their, you know, when we were
big city.
Yeah, they're big city.
We are the big city in the southeast quadrant of the state. And when the interstate, which is just now like 5 years away, we truly are going to be the east side of the whole Oklahoma City metroplex.
Right.
Which means that these types of high sales and high sales collection places will continue to come to our city. And when we talk about the things we don't have in our city, we have to understand that's just an obstacle. How do we overcome that obstacle? And it might be that we think about as voters and as residents, do we want our city to have more money or not without the taxes being raised? And that's a tough question for a lot of different individuals, and for you and for me to be able to consider. But if the citizens of Shawnee were to vote in a countywide vote that 1% more of the sales tax comes into the city of Shawnee's government, you're going to have your city $10 million more at current levels. It's actually more than that, but $10 million a year for your streets, for your rangers at the lake, for our police beat downtown, for our firemen, for our emergency management, for our street cleaners, for everything that that actually we need to have more of within our city as we continue to grow and as our nucleus continues to grow.
Yes.
You're a bit uncomfortable.
No, well, I mean, and it's just because the real second half of that conversation is if we say we're going to take this and move it over to here, then the county's going to have a significant deficit, like a big, and they're going to, you know, and that's a lot of the things that we take advantage of are, you know, because
of the county and how you work.
Yeah, and the county works really closely with the city in a lot of things, and they take.
So this
care
is
of,
my question about that is and I would love this to be explored. Okay, well, there's a lot of $500,000 houses.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pasture land that at one time was going to be appraised at, you know, $1,000 an acre that now is going to be $1 million acreage because they have 5 houses on it.
Right.
There is more close to 200 houses being built outside of city limits on old pasture land that would have been appraised much lower. And how that works is that the land value, once you put a house on it or you put a business on it, goes through the roof compared to where it was, because now it has a higher value. Frankly. And I wonder, with the growth on the outskirts of the city, which are people who are Shawnee residents, really, but out there, when those houses are all completed in the next few years, how is that going to impact what we're talking about when it goes back to the normal, which is what it was set up to be, where the county runs off of ad valorem taxes and the city runs off of sales taxes?
Right.
I wonder what that impact would be.
Yeah, no, you'd have to assume that it would be a greater, you know, number of dollars coming in because the property values are going up. But then also, again, as property values goes up, expected maintenance and efforts spent towards that part of the county goes up too.
But as the interstate comes into Pottawatomie County, there's also going to be $100 million structures going up in different places as well along the interstate, and how it feeds off. The prices of the land values along the interstate are all going to skyrocket. And we're not talking about just houses now. We're talking about little. And a lot of that comes into the city of Shawnee. It comes into the city of Shawnee's purview to have to take care of that.
Right.
But the land value is it goes up. No matter if the land is within city limits or outside of city limits, the ad valorem taxes for the entire county register to the county government, whereas sales tax is exclusively within your city limits, and that's how the city operates.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think tough discussions just should be had.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they are. They're going to be. But as a community, we vote on these kind of things, and we need to understand actually what we're voting on.
Right. No, and that's always good to know, and not every time has there been just as many opportunities to know exactly how it's broken down, and it was, you know, and I've seen reports before, but it's really easy to get lost in some of the numbers, and those numbers change, and they're based on expected budgets, and they're based on expected incomes, and that, again, that is part of the reason, kind of this, you know, me making a segue for something, it's part of the reason why the fee structure was set up like it was for the water. And then, like, just based on the fact that the water board would not allow us to base our fee structure off of expected water usage, because that water usage fluctuates so much per account, per person, per everything. And what is pretty standard and pretty set is the expected number of accounts. And that is why the fee structure was set per account versus per water usage. And it seems kind of like a dig on, you know, on some of our families that don't use as much versus our, you know, some of our industries that use more. But in all reality, that was really out of our control altogether.
Yeah.
And when you step back and kind of look at it, you logically, you can go, okay, I understand that if your expected water use is, you know, 1 million gallons, and then you don't use but half that, then that's really hard to regulate that. But if you say you have an account and I have an account, that's pretty easy to regulate that. You know, unless we, you know, move out and,
well,
you
and
know,
using the term regulate, but it's just a matter of counts.
Yes.
In the sense of just posts. And I mean, basically the ORWB is a bank. And so the bank needs like real numbers.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to put those pins on the board and then count them.
Yeah.
Whereas with usage, like you say, 1 month it may be way up here, 1 month it may be down here, and they could take the average for the last 5 years, but that really doesn't tell them, as a bank looks at it, the exact number that they need in order to make that bank loan work, which was we got $100 million in loans, basically, to upgrade the infrastructure. And so help me understand this. When now, is the infrastructure that we're putting in, the water, we've now transitioned to the water question. The infrastructure that we put in, is it going to be paid for by the rate increase over the next 4 or 5 years that we're talking about? Or is there additional funding to take care of that infrastructure necessary?
We have our budgeted amount that we put towards those areas and general maintenance and upkeep, and then running that department, and, you know, all the things, right?
And that's generated from our water bills. That is the municipal authority, and when you pay your utility bills, that's what you're basically paying for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is not a sales tax issue. This is outside of sales tax funding currently. Right.
And then the massive improvements and complete rebuild is going to be funded through, and we kind of got two options now. We originally had a part of that we voted on 3 years ago, and we talked about that, getting that amazing rate and actually save some money, being able to do some things with that one. And then we got about 40, and then the other 60 is going to, currently the way it's structured, is going to be repaid by the increase of the water
$20,
usage.
$25.
Yeah, over 4 or 5 years
for every water account holder.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
But there's also the option of, which will be brought to the people, to add the 0.5% sales tax, possibly later in the year or early next year, be on the ballot and allow a vote of the people to increase that. And then if we did that, then the fees would not be added to the water bill each month.
And that was my original
Yeah.
At this point in my life, as I look at everything and with the experience I have, I am adamantly against that. I am adamantly against that because we are pigeonholing another half penny that we need in our general fund in order to pay for something that we've already got in place now. It hurt to get that increase, but we've already got it in place now, and we need to allow our city to be able to operate without the straps that we have put on them.
Hi, I'm Sean at Play It Again Sports, where we pay you cash for your used sporting goods. We are in need of used baseball and softball mitts. We will pay you cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports, we buy and sell new and used sports equipment.
For 25 years, Eric's has served you and your family for all your prescription needs. Eric and his staff love the community and love seeing you in the store conveniently located on North Kickapoo. Make your day brighter by visiting Eric's today.
I'm Zach Lowe, founder and service manager of 6L Mechanical.
6L can fix anything, no matter the size of the job. Zach Lowe is experienced, connected in the industry. Whether it's a service call or a complete install, one truck or 100, 6L is your independent, reliable answer for mechanical, systematic maintenance, repairs, and system upgrades. At 6L, we have the techs and the capacity to respond to your immediate needs. But even better, when you talk with us about anything dealing with your mechanical systems,
I'm Zach Lowe, and I'm the one you'll talk to.
6L has systems in place to guarantee you
We do the job right the first time.
Harrison Discount Pharmacy of Shawnee is a good neighbor pharmacy. Harrison Discount Pharmacy is courteous, with quick turnaround times utilizing the latest technology from a convenient location on the corner of Independence and Harrison. Pickup or home delivery available, locally owned and operated. Harrison Discount Pharmacy of Shawnee.
going now with a sales tax question, I think is hard because we also we haven't had those discussions with the county yet to see what may happen there, where it won't take another increase in sales tax, which it wouldn't take that. It would basically just take, okay, this is when we're going to have a question come up, and I may be wrong. People talk to the city manager, talk to Travis, but this is how I see it, is in 2025, we're going to have a question in front of our city residents and the whole county as to whether or not we redo that 1% sales tax with the county.
No, it's actually not right.
It's cool.
It's the 0.5%. The one is there. It's not.
It's permanent.
It's permanent. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's the half one that one's just basically towards schools and the Justice Center that we get to talk about. Yeah.
I wonder, I wonder when we say permanent, does that go into some constitution, or does that go into some sort of 2/3 vote? Or
I believe that when it was originally voted on, it was voted in as not to be brought back up at a later date, and so it was setting as a permanent number.
That's kind of wild, isn't it?
So
that's really kind of wild because with each generation flip, there's new needs, there's new things. So
yeah.
Where did somebody tell you that? I guess so.
That was based off of the report and knowing that I believe 2025 is when that 0.495 that we would be able to vote on again for the schools and for the Justice Center, which is again more conversations. Kind of like what we said about
that's hard.
The different taxes and all the things and.
So why are we going to go to sales tax, and why don't we go to ad valorem tax? Why don't we say, hey guys, let's vote on ad valorem tax and that pay for certain things? But the drawback with that is that ad valorem tax, if you do that, they do have to be earmarked, I believe. It's not something that can just go into the general fund.
Yes.
And our general fund is what really is hurting right now because that is where all of the so many things are paid for.
All right. Well, and the ad valorem tax is often set up, like we said, is for a certain period of time, and then those roll off and roll back on, and then but then again it's our city, excuse me, our school systems and then our county are really really vying for those ad valorem dollars also, and so it's.
But they're also vying for the sales tax dollars. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, even the school systems, which that's a bummer because the schools are totally different nut to crack. I believe, I think, than other things. But there is, of the sales tax being collected, basically 33% of it is not going to the city. That needs to be. I mean, the city has general fund issues, and there's 33% of the sales tax that's being collected that's available for the city, which is after the 4.5% that goes to the state. That's not going to the city to help the city operate.
All right.
So it's tough.
It is tough. Yeah.
Government's tough.
Yeah. No, and but again, it's Shawnee is the largest city in Pot County, and most of the dollars from this part of the world get spent in and around our community, and our the county seat is here, and the safety center's here, and all the things are here, and so we do get to benefit a lot from the relationships that we do have with the county, and I think our county does a really good job of doing those things. But again, like you said, it is tough. It's and kind of back to the point earlier is wherever it's not like we take $1 from out of this bucket and put it in here, this dollar magically reappears. I think there's just trying to figure out how to be as creative and as focused on where and how and the best spending along the way is probably as important as figuring out how to just make more dollars appear too. And so I think that's something that we, as much as anything, could look back at and go, okay, where are we spending our dollars? Which ones are generating the best bang for our buck, as we would say, and sometimes it's hard to look at that and go, okay, this is the good, this is the bad, but in all reality, kind of like to your point, if we're operating in the hole all the time, then it's really difficult to even say, well, I'm going to move this from here to there, and so hopefully through some of these, like you said, some of these conversations and just and continued growth in our city and bringing in more tax dollars and applying for more grants and applying for more different ways to do some of the things that we do, we can kind of pull it back and keep rocking and rolling and growing like we're supposed to. So
it's going to take communications. It's going to take communications between the schools, and they're run by a school board. It's going to take communications by the county, and they're run by a commission, which is a board. And it's going to take communication with the city, and they're run by a board, which is basically our city commission. Those groups have to get together because that's where this money is all allocated to. And if they're working together in a fashion that everybody kind of recognizes everybody's need, there's a plan that could be put in place to help everybody, to help all three of those entities. And that plan would be, okay, land development. How do we really want to see the land development happen in and around our city that's going to benefit the county, it's going to benefit the city, and it's going to benefit our local school system that resides within the school system. We've got some great schools, and they need funding help as well. Just like you and I and Travis, we all kind of need funding help. So that's why we get to have fun conversations like this in the Rubble, because, I mean, really, we're all in the same boat, and that's what both Travis and I would agree. I mean, we love about this place. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is, like I said, it is the relationships. It is the people that are here, the families that are here, the fantastic
technology center at Gordon Cooper, OBU, and this is a great asset that it is.
I would rather say Jefferson and Will Rogers and
right. And I was getting there. And we've got these amazing things that are generating not just we're not just a bunch of placeholders.
Mm-hmm.
We're really setting ourselves up to grow, and we're really setting ourselves up to be this thriving, place that people want to live and do life.
Mm-hmm. Our children
Yes.
want to live and do life. Our
Yes.
grandchildren want to live and do
right.
and then they can invite their friends
Right.
from all over.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, pretty amazing. The number of job opportunities that are on the horizon, the number of housing opportunities that are on the horizon in and around the city. Some of the great things that we've been talking with some of our developers about multiple family units, and possibly rebuilding some of our older parts of Shawnee and making them into really neat little senior housing additions, or young family additions and things like that.
So where do people get in on those talks? When you say we've been talking with the developer, like where do they see these ideas that are happening, or do they?
Well,
or who do they talk to?
Yeah, I mean, you could always. Well, that's kind of difficult, because a lot of times somebody will come in and they'll say, "Hey, we got this idea. We would like to do this." And we go, "Oh my gosh, that'd be great. What do you think?" And it's just, it has to start through the process, roll through. We met with a developer a while back about some properties that they're wanting to do, and it was nothing formal. It was nothing other than them coming in and saying, "We would like to do this," and we're just kind of giving you a heads up as to us thinking about applying for this permit, us thinking, and we don't say, "Yeah, you can do it, go for it." We just kind of look at that and go, talk about what that would do as far as improving Shawnee, what that would do as far as,
So the scuttlebutt has started with a lot of that stuff. And I understand what you're saying in the sense of if a private individual or a developer comes in and discusses an idea, you don't want your city to be out there talking about that idea.
Right.
That's not good for the developer. That's not good for it happening.
No.
And so, Travis, I do understand that.
Right,
and
right.
when we bring up tough issues like this, I want to address this just real quick, because we're going to go now.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not divisive. This is not something in which we say, "Oh, well, this entity should get this and this entity shouldn't, and these guys, you're going to be on this side or you're going to be on that side." Always remember, we're all on the same side.
Yeah.
And how we address tough issues is how we stay on the same side, and how positive momentum moves forward.
Right.
I truly believe that.
Right. Yeah. No, and I think it is. It's ultimately is got to be communication. It has to be a basic trust that the individual sitting across from you has the best desire for their world and your world to grow. We all have jobs to do, just like you got a job to do and I've got a job to do, and sometimes we push up against each other, when we're required to do those things, and that doesn't mean that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
but what we always have to do is make sure that we're using words and our actions to learn, to understand, to ask those tough questions. Like you said, you say that a lot. We got to have tough conversations, and that's the truth. But then also we have to accept some of the tough answers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not something we like doing sometimes. And so,
And we have to accept that sometimes we're wrong.
yeah, no, for sure,
Flat
absolutely,
out, we're wrong.
absolutely, yeah. Goodness,
So, we
asking,
both are, but-
asking me numbers is dangerous, because I can barely remember my phone number half the time.
There's only
so.
one God, and iron sharpeneth iron,
Right,
as does a friend sharpeneth the countenance of a friend. And we have to remember that in our
Right.
community, we're friends.
Yes.
We really are. That's what we desire to be.
Yeah.
Travis Flood, I'm Daniel Shaughnessy. How cool it is to be in the Rubble and coming out of the Rubble. I can't wait to see what happens in this place.
I know, this is pretty cool structure. So
pretty cool place.
yeah, it is. Awesome.
Together, we're building community, one season at a time.